Fair warning, this one will not be nice. Welcome to The Big Puzzle. In this podcast, we explore the subtle connections between science, religion, politics, economics, and history. One piece at a time, we unveil the big picture of this shared experience that we call life. I hate when people start by saying as a whatever, because I don't think that gives you any authority over anything. The reason why I'm saying as a legal immigrant now is because I've seen some things that made me learn. And I see a lot of people who didn't learn. And I want to share those experiences. And it will be bad. It will be bad for everybody. So let me tell you a little about my personal journey and my family's. Then let me talk a little about some principles that I think are important to talk about. And then let me talk about three different groups of people. I want to talk to people who are illegal immigrants. I want to talk to people who are on the left. And I want to talk to people who are on the right. And I think we can all learn from that. The likelihood of anybody seeing this is low, I know, but I just wanted to put it out there. And if you feel that it helped you, or if it helped or could help anybody that you know, please consider sharing it. I will be talking about some things that are quite personal. So I hope I do it in a good way. I had opportunities to come to the United States many times, but I always thought that I had to work for my country, to make my country better. And I did put a lot of effort doing that. I tried to get involved in many ways, but unfortunately when I was about 40 years old, I felt that I did everything that I could, and I saw in my children some signs that I was very worried about. I often say that when my children came back from school, I had to spend time with my wife helping them unlearn what they've been taught, because there was a lot of lies. It's a fascist, neo-socialist country. Not recently, thanks to Milei. I wish him well. I hope he can change things. But historically, since Perón, the country has been, neo-socialist, from the fascist flavor. And I saw that it was having an impact. I saw my children standing for things that are completely wrong. And they were young, very impressionable. But that for the first time made me reconsider the idea of coming to the United States. Why the United States? Because it was the only country that I felt it aligned with my values, with my vision of what the country should be. About freedom, about capitalism, about just being in control of your life. And well, for me, the condition was I have to do this legally. I never considered coming to the United States or going to any other place illegally, because one of the values that I believe in is follow the law, obey the law. So it would be very hypocritical of me to say, oh, I'm going to the United States because they obey the law, but I will get there by disobeying their law. So that was never an option. The only path I could find was a very risky one. And it was to, again, at 41 years old, go back to school and get a PhD. I never wanted to be a doctor, was not, my plan. I was perfectly happy being an engineer. In Argentina, these, graduate studies are not that relevant, mostly because our degree takes about 6 years, so it's kind of an advanced master's degree. I even taught in the university for many years without having a doctorate. So it was not that I wanted to do that, but I knew it was risky for a lot of reasons. Well, first of all, even though it's legal, it's kind of a shortcut. So, shortcut, I mean, in the sense that you can't say, oh, I'm trying to immigrate through education. If you do, you have to keep it to yourself. Why? Because the moment you say it, you would become ineligible. So it is legal, but it's kind of borderline. And also there's zero guarantees. And I knew that, and I accepted that. So when we came here, my basic expectation was, okay, they can kick me out anytime. It's not my country. I have zero rights. I'm just granted a privilege to live there for a while I'm a student. A privilege that has its costs, and I will talk about that. But at least it will give my children the opportunity to see that there's a different way of living, that socialism doesn't work, that it's not the path, that, there are alternatives, and hopefully that will change their lives. So that was my most basic expectation. So maybe it's been 1, 2, 3 years, whatever. But again, we will try and see if we like it, because again, I never lived in the States, so I don't know if we would even like it at all. If we like it, we will try to stay and try to emigrate. And it's painful because I love my country. I felt pride on my country, and it really felt like going through a divorce. My country didn't love me back. And I had more and more experiences with people rejecting me and my values and my family over and over, sometimes explicitly, sometimes implicitly. So it was tough. It's hard to live your culture, your family, your friends, your language. I had to take the tests. Preparing for those tests was very stressful, so the TOEFL, so English as a foreign language, and then the GRE. I really was not sure I could make it, but I make it. Then get all the approvals, get the authorization. In Argentina, you couldn't have any savings because of extremely high inflation. Your savings disappears in a couple of months. But I had some money that I needed, but back in the day they wouldn't let you buy dollars. So I had to come basically with no money. And there's a long story, and if you guys are interested, some other time I can tell you about all the details like that. But it was hard. It was hard to come here. So we finally flew on December 31st, 2013. 2012. We arrived on January 1st, 2013. And the reason why we flew through the New Year was because it was cheaper. And we went to Atlanta, and then from going to Atlanta to Salt Lake, the first shock of reality struck me. I was sitting by a guy in the plane, and he had a very strong southern accent. He talked to me for about 3 hours, and I have no idea what he was talking about. I couldn't understand. I couldn't just understand isolated words, and I was thinking, how the heck I'm going to do a doctorate if I can't even speak the language? And I thought my English was good enough. I really thought that with immersion in a few months, I would have figured it out completely. But that was my first exposure to, I don't know if I can do that. When we arrived and then talking to other people, well, I realized that person had a very strong accent. And probably today I would still have a hard time understanding him, but yeah, I could communicate good enough to do the doctorate. And the doctorate was not hard from the technical point of view. I got a lot of help from the professor, but that was more on a personal basis. I came from a job where everybody was ready to stab you in the back. And that creates a paranoid that takes some time. So I was for a few months, I was very very defensive, very easily triggered. I thought that everybody was still after me. So it took me a while to relax and to accept, that it was a different culture. The language was and still is a problem. It plateaued after a few months, and it hasn't increased since. The accent is not going away. No matter how I try, I don't have the muscles to do it. It's very humbling as well when your children, who didn't speak a word of English, most of them when we came, when they learn enough to start correcting you, and especially your grandchildren, when you say something and they tell you the right way to pronounce it, and you realize that you can't even pronounce it that way. So it's very humbling to go into a country, but we tried to integrate into society. So we had the option to join church congregations in Spanish, but we forced ourselves not to do that and to go to English-speaking congregations, and it was hard for me, for my wife, for our 4 children. There was a cultural shock. There was a lot of things and a lot of great people helping us and encouraging us and respecting us. But there's ignorance, and there's people who don't know how to deal with somebody weird. To make things, I would say, more complicated, I don't have what I would call a warning face. So if I would have, even though I think I'm 1/16, if I'm doing the calculations right, native South American, I'm still the other 15/16 from different parts of Europe, and my looks are mostly, I would say, Northern Italian. And so when I went somewhere, it still happens today, people, they just think I'm American, I was born here, until I open my mouth, and that creates very awkward situation. Yeah, I heard some racist things against Latinos, and because people didn't know that I was one of them. Again, I don't believe in the Latino thing. It unifies something that is not unified at all. We're completely different countries, completely different cultures, that we barely share a language, but it's a language so different in different countries that sometimes we don't understand each other. So, but yeah, still, when they talk about Mexicans, when they insult Mexicans, and they hear me afterwards with a Spanish accent, it creates awkward situations. So completed the PhD in a very short time, not because I'm extremely smart, but because I ran out of money, and I kind of had to tell the professors, if I don't graduate now, I won't be able to do it. And well, I think it was good enough. You can read my dissertation. I think it's good. And I really appreciate all the help that I received from them every day. But for those 3 years, I don't know, I have to do the numbers, but with all the help that I received from anonymous people, from the work as research assistant, I would say that my salary would be, I mean, the equivalent of a salary would be about less than $40,000 a year. And yeah, with 4 children. It was hard. It was worse quality of life in many senses than what I had in Argentina. So it's not like we came here and we got all the benefits of, you know, the wealthiest country in the world at all. We were very, very poor, and without any, you know, social help. So you're on your own. Yes, you have the privilege to come here and to give it a chance, but it has a very extreme cost, and some people are not willing to take that cost. After I graduated, you have this option of use what they call the OPT, the optional professional training, I think. And for STEM, you have 2 stages that in total gives you 3 years where you can legally work, but you have to work exactly in the same topic of your research, which is good because I like what I do, but unfortunately it's not a field that pays too much. So I got lucky that a company hired me, and my professors were founders of that company, so I'm very grateful for them. But from the economic point of view, yeah, it was more than 40,000, but not that much more. And they helped me with all, they sponsored me when I needed with the OPT, but then the next step is that you go through a lottery to get an H-1B visa. And the company applied for me. When the time came, they paid for that, but my name was not drawn, and I was running out of options. Luckily for me, there was this program there, I think there still exists, that is called a National Interest Waiver. So you don't need sponsorship, but you need to prove that what you do is of the national interest of the country. You have to present all your publications, all the media appearances, and when your name appears, and all the journals you work for as a reviewer, and then a chunk of letters from different people, international organizations, companies, as broad as possible, everybody telling you know how valuable you are. That's not for everybody. I was extremely lucky of having one of my friends, Pablo Suarez, who I do deeply miss, who passed away a couple of years ago now, I think. And he invited me to work with in some projects with the World Bank and the International Red Cross and some other organizations. So a lot of very good, important people wrote letters on my behalf. Pablo wrote the best one, according to my attorney. She said that it was a letter that turned her into tears. So I guess that having an attorney cry was one of the biggest accomplishments that Pablo had in his life, even though he had many, many notable ones. But after all, I had a folder like this big full of papers, and the company I was working for, even though they were not sponsoring me, I went and talked to them. I said, hey guys, you were willing to do my traditional green card process that has more steps and they have to pay things on their own. Would you be willing to instead give me that money so I can pay it myself? It wouldn't cover the whole thing, but it would cover a huge chunk, and they agreed. Again, very grateful to them for doing that. So eventually, after waiting, something interesting happened. I try to remember exactly what it was, and if I get it wrong, forgive me. But there were some requirements. For instance, you couldn't file your papers for applying to the green card within 30 days into your last entry into the country, because they would interpret that as you were entering to the country with the intention to stay. Does it make sense? I don't know, but that was the rule. So my company I had all the papers ready, and the company asked me to go to the Dominican Republic for a project, and I said, yeah, I will go. That would delay my filing actually my attorney wanted to be careful, so we waited for 40 days after I came back. And keep in mind, during that time you're completely exposed. And I knew that at any time, even though I was buying my house, I was paying for my house, my car, whatever, I knew that at any time anybody could come and say, hey guys, get out of here. And I had to leave. I mean, those were the conditions, even though I was doing everything by the books to the best of our ability. Why to the best of our ability? Because after we filed, the government changed those 30 days to 90 days. But this is the ridiculous thing, those 90 days became retroactive. So even though I filed 40 days, so 10 days more than what it was required at the time, it was not the 90 days that they ask now. So my attorney said that's the only thing that they could bring against us. He said, well, we don't have a time machine. We can't come back and do it differently just because we don't know that they will change it and that will be retroactive. Well, luckily, went through the interviews and everything, and yeah, we got granted our green cards. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, living with under $40,000 with 4 children, it's very difficult. My wife was offered jobs, and we were very tempted to accept, but that would be illegally working. None of my children or my wife were authorized to work in the United States, and I was only authorized to work for no more than 20 hours a week and for the university. And so those were I was the only one. So you do the calculation. And I think that what they paid, I'm not sure, but I think it was $21 an hour. So $400 a month, $400 a week. And the way we reached to almost 40,000 was because of donations that some people made for students. And I don't know who made it, but I'm very grateful for people willing to do that. That allows us to survive. But yeah, we decided that she wouldn't work. Again, based on principle, that we believe in obeying the law, and based on practicality, that could invalidate all the good things, the legal things that we were doing. Well, we got the green card, some stability, but not full stability. Then with the green card, you have to wait for 5 years. Then you can have any job that you want. So even though I loved what I was doing, there was not enough money. So I shifted to something that I also love, but it's not civil, environmental engineering, hydrology. But still, I could use my skills and my resources and, make a better living. But basically, for the 13 years that we'll get soon of being in the States, for the first 8 probably, we were fairly poor, and we were, in a state of uncertainty, because nothing was guaranteed. You were gain more certainty with different steps, but I knew at any time they could come and say, "Thank you guys, there you go, leave the country by tomorrow." And we had our plans. No, now they don't look like very good plans, but we had some plans. We didn't have any place to go back to Argentina. We didn't have a job, we didn't have a house, we didn't have anything. So we were thinking, okay, what will we do? But luckily we never had to implement them. Then we finally, applied for citizenship, went through the interviews, the paperwork, paying everything. It's been a few $10,000s of dollars to become a citizen. A lot of time, years of your life, of sacrifice. And finally, a couple of years ago, we became citizens of this country. And we're here. Kind of excited, kind of disappointed at the same time of some of the things that I'm seeing, the direction that this country is taking. So this is my small attempt of hopefully helping people understand what mistakes they're making. Okay, so now we're citizens. Let's talk a little about the country. Let's talk a little about society. And I talk about this in some previous videos, so I will refer you to those for more technical or brainstorming view. But basically, the only way you can have a society is if you agree in certain values, in certain principles, in a view of life, of the universe. And that minimum set of agreements has to be materialized, and those are the laws. So we all agree that we are entitled to private property. Well, that requires a lot of, how do we record it? How do we, what happens when somebody doesn't, recognize my property? So everything has to be codified, agreed on, and then we can live as a society. And then we have different systems, and the highest framework for this country that was incorporated in many other countries, is having a constitution. The constitution basically tells you how to create, how to retire, how to modify laws, what the different parts of the government should be doing and not doing, and so on. So this country has the best constitution ever, and has a fairly good set of laws. Those laws are based on, like I talked in another video, on what is considered to be normal. So what is the problem? If we shift the definition of what is normal and we don't change the laws as fast, then we create a very strong stress in the judicial system, but in the whole country, in the whole society. And we've seen this recently, mostly from the left. They wanted to normalize a lot of things, but our laws are still the laws created, hundreds of years ago, in some cases. So that made that, things that were normal but were illegal. And the worst thing that you could do is to have the government ignore the law, and then what is illegal becomes accepted. Because, sometimes the laws will benefit you, and the same law might hurt somebody. So laws are not perfect. You cannot have your individual set of laws applied to you, unless you're talking about a divine government, right? But if not, we have to agree, a compromise. Okay, this law is not that good for me as it is for you, but okay, kind of cover the Gaussian belt, right? And what is considered to be normal. But if we shift that, then everything that was good now is bad, and everything that was bad is good, and our legal system doesn't represent that. And there's a reason why we have a constitution and we have a process to change the laws, because society has to have a stability. You can swing laws on and off. So in Argentina, that's what happens. Every 4 years, new government, they change absolutely everything. They ignore the constitution, even though it's a verbatim copy of the United States Constitution with some added paragraph about the Catholic Church in the preface, and a change in the terms of the executive. But they ignore it. Nobody cares. Nobody knows the Constitution, and they change the laws. They make awful things, and then they ignore the laws. There's a lot of corruption, and so that's what Milei is dealing with. Again, wish him well. But societies need to have stability, and there might be changes, and we learn new things, we adapt to things, and then we should have our system moving towards the new good that we find. But that inertia is very, very important. Right. So with all the immigration problem in the United States, now let's keep all this in mind. Now I want to talk to these three different groups of people. I want to talk to illegal immigrants. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't come to the United States illegally. If you want to try to do it legally, good luck. It's very difficult. It's very unlikely. You will have to, like I say, live maybe even in worse conditions than what you are today in your countries. Try something legal. There are other countries that provide easier legal immigration and maybe better quality of life for you. Try those. The United States is not prepared. It's not friendly to illegal immigration. it's breaking the laws, and this is a country that should lead in living, in obeying the laws. So you're ruining this country by coming here. And I'm not saying this or that you're a bad influence or whatever. What I'm saying is that by breaking the law, you're going against the core values of the place that you intend to live in. If you're coming just to take advantage of the system, I don't like you. I really, really dislike you. That's not a thing to do. But I understand also there's people who they don't feel like they have an option, that that's the only thing that they can do. Again, I think there are alternatives. You can move to a less crappy country legally, and you wouldn't be fearing, you wouldn't be, Now, if you still think that you should come to this country illegally, no, there will be consequences. There will be. And you would be a criminal. If what you're facing is, I don't care, I'd rather be a criminal than what I have to face, that's fine. But no, there will be consequences. You could be deported and you could be mistreated. You're exposing yourself to that. So then you can't complain. Have a plan B, even if you're here illegally. If you're already here illegally, I would really invite you to live on your own terms. Not because this country rejects you, not because of being repelled, it's because I really wish that people were drawn to obeying the law. And the only way that you can obey the law if you're illegal in this country is to leave the country. And I'm sorry, and I understand, and I know that there's so many different cases. We have the traffickers, we have the drug dealers on one side, and we have the children who were brought by their parents that had zero responsibility over that decision that they put into that situation. But unfortunately, like I say, laws are laws, and they cover, sometimes hurt more than others. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. We all have to deal with our own fair share of unfairness in this life. And I thought about this, and I have good friends here who are illegally. And I don't have the heart to say on directly to them. So if you see this video, sorry, but this is what I truly believe. It's for your own good, for your family good. Obeying the law is more important than whatever you could get from this country. There are options, there are alternatives. So, now let me talk to the left. Stop it. Stop it. Stop being so evil. We need to obey and sustain the law. If not, we don't have a country. We don't have a society. If you want that, and everything points in that direction, I really, 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 really dislike you. Stop cherry picking. Oh, this person was brought here, he never did anything wrong, he contributed more than this other evil right-wing politician that I hate, so why are we here and this? And guys, you're defending drug dealers are killing your own children. Just for what? What are you trying to do, guys? Really, stop it. To the right, stop being jerks. Didn't you ever break the law? Stop celebrating when somebody gets deported. It's awful that we have to do that. It's awful that people made a choice and they're facing consequences. Do they deserve it? I really, really, really don't know. And I don't care. Let me go back to the left a little. You say you care for these people. You say that, yeah, you want to get... No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want other people to take care of them. You want the government. You believe that, yeah, the government should take care of these people. You're not willing to help. If you want to help, prove me wrong. Go to their countries. Live there. Try to improve their conditions there. Go and donate money to them so they can stay in their country. Are you willing to do that? If not, shut up. Back to the right. If you say, oh, they should come here legally, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're showing your ignorance. You think, oh, they didn't want to fill the paperwork. They're lazy. No, there's no legal path. Yeah, get a PhD and recommendation letter from the World Bank and from the International Red Cross and from universities and from, like this guy from Honduras can do that, to come and work in the fields. You have no idea what you're talking about. The system is not good. We can discuss, and I'm open to discuss it with anybody. Is there a better way to do it? I always believe there's a better way to do it. But I also understand the constraint here. So this country is limited in its resources. It can't accommodate everybody coming here without any restrictions. So it has to be an immigration policy. The one we have is extremely difficult. You really need to be willing to sacrifice a lot with zero guarantees to just have a slim chance of being accepted. So people on the right, stop saying, oh, they should come here legally. No, don't be stupid. Let's talk about how to solve the problem. We need a country, we need values, we need principles. We need to keep this country the best country in the world. We need to allow immigration. We need to allow immigration that benefits them and us at the same time. If you want to help other countries, go do it. Be my guest. There's plenty of ways to do it. Help them develop. Help them become the new United States. I have zero issues with that. I believe that most of the countries painted themselves into a corner by wrong decisions, and many times wrong decisions by the same people. Cultural, religious, whatever. If they are willing to change that in their own country, please don't bring it here. The agreement that people made to create this country hasn't changed, shouldn't change. If you don't agree with that and you're willing to come and contribute, don't come. Go to whatever place aligns to your views. Okay, this has been long, intense. kind of emotional. I hope it helped somebody. Sorry if I sound too harsh, but that's really how I feel. We all need to do better. We all need to change if we want to create a solution for this. Let's show empathy. Let's at the same time show integrity, and yeah, do what we have to do, everybody, even if it's hard. Let's do what we have to do, and we will all be better at the end. So that will be it for today. Thank you for staying this long, and well, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.